Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy and doing yet another live stream. This week was sort of messed up for me in that with the holiday, usually I do my live streams on Monday and I sort of have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule to get the videos out. But I really thought that it wasn't an appropriate thing to put out a video or even go live on Monday on Memorial Day. And so this week is kind of messed up, which is why you see me doing this live stream here today on Thursday, the 2nd of June. Before we get started, let people get kind of rolled in here. If you're watching live with us today, please be sure to comment in the live chat. Of course, put your questions in there because I do rely on your questions and to help me make this live stream work. I do try to present some information to you, give you updates as to what I'm doing, but beyond that, it is really reliant upon your participation. So I appreciate that. And for those of you who are watching this after the fact, please comment down below. Maybe you weren't able to make it. I try to do these live streams at different times of the day, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening. And the purpose of that is to try to get as many people involved as I can in the program. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know if you're watching this after the fact and you wanted to join us, I'm sure you're not happy about that, but it's kind of my plan to try to get as many people involved. So maybe you weren't involved this time, but please comment down below and even put your questions because I'll try to get to you, try to get to your answer to your question. There's other people that are reading it as well that will also try to help. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're watching it live with us today or watching it on replay, all I ask for the time that I take out of my day that I could be listing or doing other things, please just hit that like button. That's really all I ask. It's sort of my requested price of admission for this program. Now we're going to try to keep it to about an hour. I did do the majority of my shipping last night. And I do have a couple straggler items that were purchased overnight. But as long as I get done, right now it's about 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. I don't know where you're at, but my carrier has they've started coming earlier and earlier. So I need to be done with this by about 9:30 so that I can get those last items completed. I want to say hi to a few that have commented here so far this morning. We have Deborah, JK, HJK. Good morning, everyone. And we have Martha. Good morning to you. Elio, good morning, bud. How you doing? Appreciate you hanging out with me today. And Douglas Kent, I use the global shipping program all the time and love it. I won't stop. So much less hassle and also shifts responsibility to eBay for damages. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Ed, the reselling writer, how you doing this morning? And so we have about 30 people in the that are watching right now, and it'll get to about 50, 60, which is about normal for this program. I tend to notice that it doesn't really matter if I go live at, for me, 8:30 in the morning is kind of an early broadcast, maybe not so much for where you're at, but it's pretty much the same traffic, even if I go sometime later in the evening. And it seems to be the same mix of people, which is pretty cool that you guys would take time to, spend an hour, hang out with me. And whereas if I did this 2 years ago, it would just be me talking to myself here. So thank you for joining me. Also got Vegas Valley Vintage. Hi from Henderson. We also have 97 Deep Valley Road, Stamford, Connecticut. Hello, how you doing? So let me start off with the global shipping program. It's funny. A friend of the show, Biscuit Butt. Many of you guys have heard me talk about him before. Archie. He's a friend of mine. He lives also in Henderson, on the other side of town. But we do go in on things and deals. And you guys know I bought a lot of those military patches with him, and it's been a really big success. I think. We've been selling these patches. At least I've been listing them for the last week. I've already tripled my money, and I haven't really even dented what I have. And it's been a pretty good venture. And I've been trying to spend more of my time in that. But working with Archie, finding deals like that, and he told me about a year ago. We had a conversation about how he ships his items using eBay's international standard shipping, and I'm like, no, I'm global shipping all the way. It's no hassle. I just ship it this way, and I've been convinced of that. But it's not until you actually use a service like the eBay's, well, it's USPS global standard shipping, um, that you kind of see it from the other side, if that makes sense. So for me, I'm shipping these little patches out. Of course, it's maybe 1 or 2 ounces after everything's packaged up really, really light. And I'm starting to see things. And you guys saw the video I put out. Hopefully you did, at least, about the pirate ships, um, negotiated rates. And I think for me, it's just been an eye opener. And I've had people in the past message me and say, hey, look, I'm out here in Europe. I want your item. Is there something you can do about shipping? And I'm like, no, this is the rates that, global shipping is charging you. And if you go back and look at some of the details in your sales for global shipping program listings or shipments, you will see that eBay is making these people pay a ton of money on your items. And if there are people that are willing to buy your item, albeit the cost, fine, it's going to cost me an extra $20 over what I would normally pay, then who are we pushing away? What customers are we basically turning off of our item because the shipping is too high? And it just makes me wonder how many sales we're losing because we're using eBay's global shipping program. And it is a convenience. I get it. Um, eBay is really making a killing off of that program. And of course, it's not on the back of the seller this time. But if you think about it, it kind of is because it's hurting our sales when we're using that. So I've changed everything over to the USPS standard international shipping to calculate the exact rate that eBay would charge plus $1, because I add $1 to my international rates for the cost of materials and things like that. And I'm going to give that a shot. I can tell you that I have a lot of international customers. I'd say about maybe 30% of my customers, maybe 40, are international customers who are buying these patches. Now, of course, they're international items. They're from different countries around the world. So that is sort of part of the equation. So I don't suggest that you're missing out on 20 or 30% sales because you're using GSP. But what I'm saying is you might increase your sales by another 5, maybe 10% if you maybe make the switch over to a cheaper shipping alternative for your buyer, because it all boils down to this. It's always boiled down to how much is your item? Does it cost them too much more than they're willing to pay? And are they going to look elsewhere? Because, right now, it's not the best time of year for people to be shelling out money that they don't have. And people are looking for ways to get better deals. So I really think now we're talking about the whole GSP side. I had a conversation with someone the other day on one of the forums, and actually no, they commented in my video, my last video, and they said, the great thing about GSP is there's no returns. And I said, well, that's not true at all, because eBay will protect you through the global shipping program if the item, or you can state that the item has been damaged en route. So maybe it doesn't work when the buyer gets it. Maybe that something has happened where the package was thrown off of that tarmac, off the 747. And, that's damage that eBay will go in after looking at the messages from the buyer to the seller to determine that the item was damaged. But I had a situation that happened, a couple years ago that put a bad taste in my mouth at that time when I had the Microsoft Surface tablet that I shipped to somebody. I don't even know where it was, but it was somewhere overseas through GSP. They got it, they used it for 4 days, and then it stopped working for them, which tells me they broke it or misused it. And now they forced a return, open an INAD, and now eBay was like, no, this has nothing to do with shipping. It worked when it got there, so we can't cover your refund as we would if it did show up as a broken item. So eBay is not always going to protect you. And guess what's going to happen? You are going to be on the hook not only to pay for that buyer's return label, and that's a mess in itself, and it's a mess you're going to have to deal with no matter how you ship the item overseas, getting that buyer that return label, but you have to recoup the fees that eBay is going to refund the buyer, those bloated fees for shipping and all their handling that they charge for their service. You are on the hook to refund. And that's what happened to me. And I think it was like about a $50 to $60 hit over and above the refund that I had to take at that particular time. Now, at that time, I was like, no more GSP. And then I had it off for about 6 months, and then I put it back on, got more sales. So, of course, opening up the market for international sales, even with GSP, is going to help your bottom line. But it just makes me think, talking to a lot of people who are like, this is easy. Yeah, it is easy. It is easier, but it's not that much easier because, see, the program that I talked to you about in the other video, Pirate Ship, you're shipping it to them and then they're putting their label on it. Yes, you need to buy additional insurance, but a lot of us are selling $10 to $20 items. Why would you insure a $10 to $20 item? So you're saving that extra built-in fee on the insurance as well. So it's a decision that all you guys have to make. But if you think about it from a seller's perspective, it is a, excuse me, my voice is getting kind of funny this morning. But it is a financial decision that your buyers are making, and it may be what's preventing them from buying more of your items than they are now. So just something to think about. But for me, I've changed it all over to standard international shipping rates using Pirate Ship, and I plan on giving that a go. And of course, I will report that to you once I get a little bit more data under my belt to see exactly, how, it compares to global shipping. So the other topic I had was simply this: 2nd of June, and we are now on the brink of summer. I mean, for some of us, it already feels like summer. It's already in the 90s, going on 100 degrees out here in Vegas. For you, maybe not so much, but I think the 22nd of June becomes summer officially. What are you doing? What are you doing to prepare for the slowdown? Because when summer hits, historically, and wasn't the case 2 years ago with the lockdowns and all that, but historically, aside from that, um, it's not a good time to sell. It really isn't, because people are not thinking about buying as much as they have, the other 10, 11 months of the year, actually 9 to 10 months of the year, when they're inside and not out and about having fun with family and friends. So, a lot of people on vacation this time of year, and they're just away from the online presence to buy your item. So, what are you doing to prepare? So, my thought is this: find creative ways to get other eyes on your merchandise. And of course, it's a combination of cross listing. So I'm doing more cross listing onto other platforms. There's people who'll buy on Mercari and Poshmark who will not even blink an eye at eBay. They just don't want to bother with eBay for whatever the reasons are. And I'm opening my products up to those people. Also, of course, we talked about what I did last year, and I'm going to do more of that this year, is playing the numbers game. So if, I'm used to having a 500 item store, maybe it's time to build it up to 1,000, so that if I drop, my sales are down 25, 30%, it's sort of a net gain after I increase the size of my store. So it's something from that perspective that you should be considering as well. And of course, the changing from global shipping to this method through Pirate Ship, for me, it is a way to maybe welcome more cost sensitive buyers that would have turned their nose up at my item after seeing that I use global shipping. I've seen a lot of comments of people that say how outrageous, like the Canadian buyers, it's just outrageous for them. They're getting hit with all these fees on top of what they would normally be paying for your label through the global shipping program. So making those kind of changes is my game plan, and it's something that I'm doing. But I want to know what you guys are doing to get ready. Some people just shut down their stores altogether, and if you can make that work, then hey, more power to you. So that's kind of what we're doing today. Now, let me just say this: we have one person today missing from the live stream chat, and that's Jenna. She has begun her full-time job, and she's actually in her office upstairs, and she's going through a training program. And it's definitely something we considered, we talked about. And while she does still help me when she can, it's sort of me now doing both stores, and the other store is a collectible store. And it's a lot of it's because of the benefits. And I'm not getting any younger, and the idea of not having health insurance for either of us wasn't appealing. So this is sort of part of the reason why she's doing it. And you know what? I got to thank her, because the fact that, after 3 years of not being in the workforce and then being asked to kind of go back in, it's a little bit unsettling, because you are your own boss, as an entrepreneur, and to be asked to go in and follow someone else's rules, maybe not sleeping that extra hour when you're not feeling well. These are things that is a sacrifice. So, I thank her. And for many of you, you're doing it already. You already have that 9 to 5 or maybe a part-time job, and you can relate to the differences between being your own boss and having to deal with someone else's nonsense. So kudos to her for taking that step. And, it's a decision that we all have to make. And it's one that she's making for us. And my hat's off to her, without actually taking my hat off. You don't want me to see my hair this early in the morning. So want to say hi to Scott Fiskus. He's in the house. We have Art Betzold from Wisconsin. We have Emma Bakur. Hello. Buddy Kevin Hawthorne's in the house, and Tom Swift. So thank you guys for joining. So let's see if I have any questions here. We do have a comment from Ed, the reselling writer. My only international sales seem to be auto accessories. Think I might still keep GSP. I think sometimes we're blinded by what we don't know, and that's definitely my case. So the safest, easiest way of dealing with international shipping for me was just GSP. I didn't want to be bothered with it. But, if sales were off the hook and I had the type of merchandise that's going to sell to pretty much, anyone in the United States, I really don't have a sale through rate issue. If that's your situation, then don't change anything. But I'm just suggesting this for people who are looking for more eyes on their items. And of course, you might have an international buyer who's looking at your item, but they're not buying it because it's just too high price for them. So just something to consider. Everyone has to make that decision. But my eyes are really wide open from this other account on how many international buyers are just lining up to buy these collector's patches that I have. And maybe, just maybe, it could be something that you can do that'll help your bottom line, even if it improves your sales by 5 to 10% over what you're currently doing. I think that's pretty good. Elio Mora says, if I do free shipping, how would global shipping work for me? Do I pay shipping if I list all my items free ship? Yes, you'd still pay to ship it, because with global shipping and with, of course, Pirate Ship, there's a dedicated facility in the United States that you're shipping it to. In GSP's instance, it's Erlanger, Kentucky, and you're still shipping that item out of pocket to them. Now, eBay collects all these fees from these buyers internationally, charge them whatever the rate is. That's why it's important to put the weight and dimensions in your listing, at least accurately, so that they can figure it out for your buyer. and then they charge that to your buyer internationally, and once they get it at their facility, they ship it out, slap their label and ship it out to them, to whatever country that is. So free shipping is still going to be the same cost if you had someone, on the other side of the coast, or depending on where you're at, it's still going to be that same cost to ship it to Kentucky. In the case of Pirate Ship, their facility is in California, I believe it's the City of Industry. And if you're using a first class label, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same cost, no matter where you're at in the United States. So just something to consider. And it's not going to cost you anything more for using GSP or any other service like that. Douglas Kent says, Elio, eBay charges the buyer for the international part. Yes, that's correct. Douglas, eBay seems to overcharge for light items, but undercharge for heavy ones. So that's something to keep in mind, because I'm going to introduce anything under, I think I have my policies set up with the select countries that I talked to you on the other video. And if you haven't watched the other video, I don't want to regurgitate what I talked about in that one in this live stream, but go check it out after we're done here. And I've selected those countries as the only countries I'm going to ship to, because I want to utilize the savings with that program. And I believe it's anything under 4 pounds, but for me, anything 2 pounds or less, I'm offering that service to. Anything that is heavier than that, it's just going to be a domestic sale situation. So I will, like I said, report that to you, what I find, if I find any differences. Maybe my sales will tank. International listings that would normally go through GSP, maybe they'll tank, but I highly doubt that. I'm just having my suspicions that I really think these buyers are no different than our US buyers. And there's people out there that are price sensitive. They have only so much money to spend on your item. And if the cost of shipping is too high, they'll go somewhere else. Deborah says, I just stopped shipping international because there's too many stipulations. You can't sell Nike to certain parts of the European Union. Too many restrictions. I was worried about getting Bureau. And that's certainly something you have to consider. Certain like woods, if you have an item that is made of wood, certain types of wood you can't ship to certain countries. Of course, like handgun accessories, you can't ship to certain countries. So, you have to be really mindful of that, and even have separate shipping policies set up to where when eBay flags you and says, no, you can't ship that item internationally, you need to redo your shipping policy, then you already have one made. So it's not that big of a deal. But yes, I get what you're saying entirely, because it's happened to me. Jake says, oh, well, I think only 2 to 5% of my customers are GSP. And that's about right. I'm wondering, though, if it's the true international presence for eBay.com US is higher than that. And it's just the price of GSP that's keeping them from buying your item. Okay, Douglas says, also using just USPS, you couldn't have shipped at all to Australia all year, although they're supposedly starting that again. You know what? I do have that selected, Australia, as an option, but actually, I can say that I have shipped at least one of my patches to Australia. I do know that. I don't think I have it here. I think it was one I shipped yesterday. But I do know for a fact that I shipped one to Australia. I have a ton of these patches, these military patches, vintage patches from the Australian Royal Air Force. And I can't imagine if the Australian market was closed to us, if how I'd be able to sell those. It would probably be somewhat difficult. Simplified 1918. Good morning. My eBay account is on hold till my bank account is confirmed with 2 to 4 days micro deposit confirmation. I've heard of this for new accounts, but I mean, of course, unless you're opening a new seller's account, I know that you've been selling for quite a while. You've been part of this channel for a while. And if you have an established account, I can't imagine them doing that to you unless maybe you are doing something a lot different. Maybe you're selling $5 to $10 items, and then out the chute, you're now selling $100 to $200 minimum, and sort of like the whole daily refinement thing. And now you've brought some suspicion. On newer accounts, they usually link your new and old accounts. So while they will give you an item limit, like a new account, just to make sure, I have not heard of that. So if anyone's heard, why they do it, please put that down below. I'd appreciate it. And of course, Simplify says, I don't do global, just never compare. I don't know what that is. Consider doing it. I would say that's probably what you meant to say. We have Deportes en el Recuerdo. I think I have that right. You're not having in consideration that prices for goods in other countries are usually more than here in the States because of other taxes that governments impose, so your items are still cheaper. Okay, they're still cheaper, but what if they were even cheaper than that? Because the cost of shipping you're offering this potential buyer, it's even lower. So to me, that would be even more of an incentive for someone to buy your item. So good points. Deportes en el Recuerdo, where are you're watching from? I'd like to know where you're at. So please put that down below. Let's see. Ed, the reselling writer. I ended up promoting all my shoes for 6.5%. I had everything at 2 and have gotten sales since. Of course, I do cross list and get a few sales from there too. That's going to help. eBay is going to reward you a little bit more at 6.5% than 2%. I'm sure if you put your promoted listings at 10 to 20, you're going to do even better. But I don't want to go any further than or any higher than the recommended. So when I do go that high, it's because my item's been sitting for a while. And when I do the end item and sell similar, I'll then add the idea of having offers to watchers, or actually not offers to watchers, but best offer. And I will set my promoted to the recommended price. That's kind of what I do on a daily basis. We have Michael Telestio in the house. How you doing, buddy? And of course, it's not Michael, it's Julio, buddy Julio that's watching. But I'm sure Michael's somewhere there. So this friends of ours in Vegas. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. We have Kina. Kina's here with us. They got us every way we turn. They do. And eBay is going to find a way to show their shareholders how they made money off of the backs of usually the seller, because they don't want to turn away prospective buyers. Winter Crow says, greetings all. Sorry I'm late. Well, at least you're here. That's all that counts. Thank you for hanging out with us today. And Julio or Michael says, I have a question. Where do I get the best burrito in town? Go to Poncho's in Summerlin. That's where you go. Tom Swift says, does the customs documentation get taken care of using pirate ship? Yes. So you will still have to fill out the customs information. And for the European Union, you actually have to find the code for your item, and it'll give you a link, and you have to put the best description of your item in so it can find the actual code that you enter in the custom slip. Once you get past that, it's the same as buying your label on eBay. Winter Crow says, just as an aside, as I've missed a lot, no doubt, I never have used global shipping and never would. Over 20 years on eBay, I've always handled international orders myself. So you're using the standard international shipping option. And I'm curious what your thoughts are, how that works for you. Of course, you have no reference to compare it to global shipping since you've never used global shipping. But have you seen, what are your percentage of sales? Is it 10%? Is it 5%? That are international? I'm curious to know. Ed says you can't sell Nike to certain parts of the European Union. I really don't know that. I've sold many Nikes in the EU. Some of the larger shoe sellers out there can probably give you an answer to that. I have never sold a pair of Nikes to someone outside the United States, so I don't know. I've sold my share of Nikes, but nothing through GSP. Tommy says sales will go up drastically if you do pirate ship, and your own pricing based on simple export saves the customers tons of money. And my suspicion is just that if you are saving, I don't care where your customer is, they can be in Zimbabwe. If you're saving them money where they have extra money to do other things like pay their bills or just go do whatever they want to do, they may be more inclined to buy your item than to say, I don't need it, right? So it's something to consider, and I think Tommy's spot on that one. Douglas Kent says USPS just restarted Australia. It was shut off in September, but I just checked; they restarted a few weeks ago, and it's thankfully working for me because I'd have no idea who would be looking. I'm sure about at least 50 to 60% of these Australian patches I have are going to go to Australia. So thankfully, that's the case. Winter Crow says, friend of mine who uses GSP has never had a hassle-free transaction internationally, as buyers always request other methods and always object to the costs. They do. They complain. They complain to the seller. I've had some complaints from potential buyers, saying, hey, they want my item, but not at the prices that they think I'm asking them to pay for shipping. And I have to tell them, sorry, I have no control over that. And they kind of sometimes want to negotiate the price of shipping. And, again, I tell them eBay's not even telling me where I'm shipping this. Now I can find it, but they're certainly not even telling me where I'm shipping it, where this item's actually going. And so the buyers don't even understand how eBay's internal processes work. And it's a shame that, it's such a secretive thing that you have to go and search to find where, this item is going to in the listing. They can't just put it right out there for all of, for us sellers to see. Tommy says that's the nice part about shipping simple export. Australia is never closed. They love running shoes, sell a few there a month easily. And I think that might have been a restriction that GSP put into place. But maybe I'm wrong. But I think that was, I don't recall shipping recently through GSP to Australia. And that may be what it was, because I just shipped something through Pirate Ship to them. Not sure if it's vintage. Tommy, where can I learn more about simple export rates on Pirate Ship? Well, Tommy's in the chat. I'm John. I'm the one doing the live stream, but you can watch my video. Go check out my channel. I did a video last week about it. Actually, this week about it. I keep thinking it's next week. I did this video on Tuesday, and you can go check it out. And it'll give you pretty much what you need, the gist of why I think it's a good idea. And, that'll answer hopefully most of your questions. Vegas Valley Vintage. Can I mention that I'm selling off most of my shelving units and bins locally? Well, that's definitely something. If I had room, I would probably hit you up on. I ended up moving a lot of our shelving racks out of my wife's office, and now my garage is full of them. So anyone in the Vegas area, contact Vegas Valley Vintage, and they might have something that you can use. Let's see, Austin, hey, just woke up. Yeah, that's the great thing about being a reseller. You can just make your schedule. You can wake up, stay up as late as you want. That's the toughest thing about this right now. Jenna has a set morning schedule, and it's a good thing, but it's tough because we're used to staying up to like 1, 2 in the morning. And honestly, I think we're getting kind of old for that anyway. But, the idea of waking up earlier is really, I think, going to be more of a blessing than anything else, because I am so used to working just whenever I get up, and I work all day long and many times into the night. Not because I have to. It's kind of, this is what I do. This is who I am right now. I enjoy doing what I do. And when you enjoy doing what you do, you don't even think twice about working beyond 6, 7 o'clock. I'll have the game on. I have 2 monitors. I'll have the game on 1 monitor, and I'll just be going to town working, and it doesn't bother me. But now, waking up, earlier, I may not be working late like that anymore. Let's see. CM Retro Gaming says, I've never used the global shipping program. It'll add some sales, so it's worth having a an international option. Let me just say, don't limit yourself to the US market. Um, Global shipping or not, if you're using pirate ship, at least have an international presence that will increase your sales. And I guess the argument to that, a lot of people say, well, you don't have the same seller protections. Maybe you're going to have, if you have a headache with buyers and returns and all that stuff. Yes, there's a chance for that. Of course, as a seller, we really have to have our game right and make sure our items are as described to avoid that kind of a situation. But if you can stand behind your products, you're going to have that 1 to 2% of buyers, no matter where they're at, they're going to have a problem or find a problem with your items anyway. And you have to, and for those of you who just don't want to hear me say it for the 1000th time, close your ears, but I'll say it anyway. It's the cost of doing business. And if you have that bad buyer, you have to pay for the return label. You're going to be able to write it off at the end of the year anyway. So just something to consider, but don't let it hold you back from creating extra sales and introducing newer customers. Let's see. We have Winter Crow. I also don't purchase my postage via eBay. The idea that GSP requires an extra step in Kentucky before I can tell seller it is on the way, I find it ridiculous. Yeah, it's just the way they have it set up. But eBay is always putting their hand out and finding a way to get into your transaction. Of course, eBay is the facilitator of your transaction and they deserve a little bit of it, right? But they're finding ways, they're looking for ways to find, let's fee you here, let's do this, let's do that. And at the end of the day, you're holding less of your money because of it. And between taxes at the end of the year, between eBay fees, between increased shipping rates, between that and higher cost of goods that we're all going to be paying here pretty soon, if not already, it's just becoming a little bit more difficult to make a profit. So if you're sitting at a 5 to 10% margin versus the sellers that are, at 40, 50, 60% margin, who's going to end up in a better position after all these fees increase? I'll let you decide that. I already know the answer to that. So with simple rate, what is the seller responsible for everything while in transit, or does it have the same protections as GSP? Okay, so with GSP, I don't recall, and I think that the shipping, not shipping, but the insurance is sort of built into what eBay is charging the customer. With the simple rates through pirate ship, you have to decide if you're going to pay for a insurance on that item. So, maybe a $10 item, maybe a $20 item. eBay is already figuring that in global shipping. Well, you have to figure out if it's worth it to you to insure it. So if you don't insure it, it comes up missing. Of course, you're going to have to reimburse the buyer. They do allow you to ship up to $400 in value, and you can insure up to $400 in value. Never had to utilize their claim process. I think Biscuit Butt did. He told me about it. It wasn't a big deal. And of course, it's not as fast as GSP as far as reimbursing the buyer and getting you your money back. But it is a process that they have in place, and I haven't heard anything bad about it. So just something to consider, but I would rather not insure a $20 item. If the cost of insuring that $20 item is, $2 or $1.50, I'd rather just bank that myself. And then if something comes up where a $20 item comes up missing, the tracking, supports that it just got lost. Well, I can file a claim, but in the meantime, I'll cover that buyer, give them their money back out of the money that I've been collecting that I could have been using for paying for insurance, if that makes sense. Winter Crow says, my international sales on one account amounts to about 10% of sales, usually repeat and mostly United Kingdom. So that's good to know. I think it's about 5% for me for GSP. So maybe you're looking at a difference of about 5% between GSP and the lower rates using the simple rate. Just something I'm thinking out loud about, but I will know more here in the next few weeks at least. Douglas is just an example. I sold a book the other day. They charged the UK buyer 26 for global shipping, and it would have cost me more to send it using eBay International or USPS. So I'm curious about that though, because are you referring to the retail rates or the rates that eBay's asking you to pay? Because Pirate Ship, if you go and sign up, again, look at that video I put out earlier this week, and it'll tell you all you have to do is contact Pirate Ship, and they'll switch it over for you, and you could take advantage of much lower rates than you would get otherwise. And then Mindy says, "Hi, John. Just getting my morning coffee ready for my day." Yeah, I don't drink coffee. This is my coffee. I put Mio in my water, my energy drink. I've never been a coffee drinker. I just never liked the taste of it, to be honest with you. Tommy says, you can purchase insurance with Pirate Ship and it's still a fraction of the price. Shoes are like 13 to Canada and 17 the rest of the world, no matter where. So I definitely agree with that. Let's see. Morty the One. Hello, finally to catch a live. Yes. Try to make these lives a different time of the day so that different people have a chance to make it. I get a lot of people saying, "Hey, why don't you do it earlier?" And that's kind of what this is about. So thank you for hanging out with us today. Tommy says, Pirate Ship insurance is amazing. They will PayPal you or credit your account almost immediately once you speak with chat and send them what they ask for. And yes, the chat is very good, and it just cracks me up. And I almost feel like I'm speaking to a bot because they just don't miss a beat. They speak in this pirate language, and it's pretty cool. It's just I've never seen anything like it. If you've never dealt with Pirate Ship before, they're a pretty cool company, that's for sure. Douglas Kent says eBay rates eBay underestimates the weight of the books frequently, and that's on them. I don't know how the eBay would underestimate the weight of the books because if you're shipping out books to somebody and they're charging an arm and a leg for those books, eBay would only go by the weight that you put in the listing. So maybe if you put, it's maybe 2 pounds and you have maybe 5 pounds in there, they don't know. They have no idea how heavy your item is, except for the information you're providing them in the listing. So I definitely, I think that might have had to do with maybe something. Maybe you put the dimensions of the box too big. I think that's just as important as the weight. If your dimensions are way off, maybe it's only a 10 by 10 by 10 box that you're shipping, but you had 15 by 15 by 15. That's going to make a huge difference in the equation as well. Yeah, be very careful because if you have incorrect dimensions in there and you're not even double checking. Now, I'm not saying, Kent, that you're doing that, or Douglas, that you're doing that. What I'm saying is that a lot of us, like for instance me, I will ship an item, or I will list an item with certain dimensions, and maybe after putting I like to, on smaller items, I like to put a layer of bubble wrap and then polybag them sometimes if my original item is maybe questionable. I'll do it that way, and that'll add about an inch both directions to the item. And if I don't go in and just double check the measurements before I run that label, I'm going to ship something that's too small, or representing it as being smaller than it is. Well, I don't see, we've run through a lot of the questions and the comments here, and usually I'm way behind, but today it's a slower day. We have about 70 people in the chat. I think what's happening is a lot of you are watching or listening to this live stream, and you're doing your shipping or maybe doing your listings, and really don't have the same kind of time that you might have when you're winding down at the end of the day. And I get that. I certainly don't want to be a distraction to what you guys are doing. But I just wanted to touch base. We're here about 45 minutes, and that's a healthy little live stream. We had a really good discussion. I'm going to try the simple rates through Pirate Ship. If you're looking for creative ways, if you don't maybe mind changing your shipping policies, to get rid of GSP, to give that a shot as well. I really think that it boils down to price. If you have a good product, if you have a good price, these are all factors that buyers take into consideration when considering buying your item, or versus going to the next seller like Tommy, who's already offering a cheaper service. So it's just something that you have to consider. My dog's getting kind of irritated at me, by the way. But just things that you have to consider. And I'm just saying that that's what I'm doing. And for you, you have to decide, especially right now during the summer, when it's slowing down, what are creative ways you can do to try to get more people to buy or consider buying your item. And that's the only reason why I brought this up. And I think they kind of tie in together. I'm going to be talking here next week more about cross listing. And that's another creative way that you can do that as well. So guys, my dog's getting irritated at me. He's Chewy. So sorry about that. So my dog's saying, hey, time to wind it up. He wants to go outside, so I'm going to take him outside here. So guys, regardless of the things that you're doing with your business to help introduce more sales or get more eyes on your item, just know that this is just another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your week, and you will hear from me very soon. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.